秘密。
Hello, I am Jin, and this is the secret second account of an existing VTuber. In the world of VTubers, there are two major groups, indies and corpos. Indies being singular individuals who are typically doing everything on their own, at most having a small dedicated team they work closely with, but the majority are simply a singular person doing all the legwork for their own content. Then we have corporate VTubers. These are people who make content under an agency. For reference, when talking about the corpo side of things in this video, I'm largely focusing on people under big companies. I will use Hololive as the main example since they are the biggest VTuber corpo in the world, but the same can be said for other companies like Anyway, thankfully there are many good small VTuber corpos out there, but I'm going to talk about them in another video coming very soon. So back to the topic on hand. Every few months, VTubers recycle the same topics to argue about online, and one of these topics is whether or not corporate VTubers have it easy, and whether or not they actually have to be good streamers in order to be a success. I'm hopefully going to put an end to this argument today. So let's start off by weighing the pros and cons of being an indie compared to being in a big VTuber corporation. Starting off with indies, the biggest and most important benefit to being an indie is, of course, freedom. You can do pretty much anything you like within the bounds of TOS. You want to make content on a certain subject or idea? Go for it. You're also free to stream as much or as little as you like, nothing stopping you but yourself. Now, this can in some ways be a negative since some VTubers have had some not great ideas. But generally speaking, as long as you have more than 2 brain cells to rub together, this freedom is nothing but a positive. Another benefit is whatever money you make goes straight to you. No paying certain percentages to groups outside of whatever cut your platform of choice takes. As in Twitch taking 50% of sub money, and YouTube taking I think around 30% of super chats. But that's gonna be the same for both indies and corpos, so I won't count it as a negative for either side. Now for the actual negatives for being an indie. The first big one being the fact that unless you are one of the big names who can afford editors and other help, it's all on you. Streaming, recording, editing, research, self-promotion, possibly art, reaching out for sponsorships and other business negotiations, stream ideas and literally everything else, it's on you. Unless you're doing the bare minimum, that's gonna be a lot of work. Trust me, I'm currently 2 different VTubers at the same time. I am very tired. I've kinda crammed a lot of negatives into one, but they all stem from the same thing. As an indie, you are most likely on your own. Though another important negative to mention is financial instability. That video you spent 100 hours making got demonetized for some stupid reason and YouTube not listening? Welp, you're fucked. You have no base pay to fall back on and no connections to help. Best thing you can do is try to make a stink on Twitter and pray an actual human reviews it, which is unlikely to say the least. This ties into the positives of being a corporate VTuber. Firstly, most corporate VTubers have a base pay, so while they may have the same issue you're facing, they're not going to be completely up shit's creek without a paddle if YouTube decides to demonetize a video they put out. It's also worth mentioning that a corporate VTuber probably isn't going to have the same struggle in this scenario, since corporations will often have a dedicated legal team that can deal with such things on behalf of the talents. In general, as a corporate VTuber, you're going to have a lot of support in various ways, or at least you should. They will typically have a high quality model ready, access to tech support, various facilities, connections, and company backing are all huge benefits that are simply not available to 99% of indies. Now for the most important benefit to being a corporate VTuber. Promotion. If you are debuting under a new Hololive branch, everyone will know about it. Your name will almost instantly be known by basically everybody in the VTubing scene, and I cannot underestimate how much of an impact this will have. Let's say, hypothetically, your content will appeal to 1 in every 5,000 people that are interested in Vtubers. As an indie, even if you put a lot into self-promotion and really hype up that debut, your reach isn't likely to even going to match a single tweet from Hololive's official account, meaning you might only get a handful of people interested in you if you're lucky, especially if you're just starting out. Now let's compare that same 1 in 5,000 number to somebody debuting in a new Hololive wave. Hololive has garnered a huge audience of literal millions, meaning that if only 1 out of 5,000 people will be interested in you, that's still gonna add up to a huge number. In other words, Hololive more or less guarantees a certain size audience regardless of how niche your content appeal may be. But as for negatives, you don't own your identity, the company does. So if you leave, you either have to go back to your previous life or make a new one. Now, with the taboo about discussing previous lives more or less disappearing in recent years, this is less of an issue, and more often than not, you will now just see fans simply migrate to the new life in large numbers. Another negative is that the company will take a cut of your earnings, and management does have the final say on what content you can do. So joining an agency can have some limitations that might be a deal breaker for some. You're going to be under a contract and locked in for a certain amount of time, so you can't just up and walk away if you're not feeling it anymore. So with all the main points laid out, you're probably seeing a lot more important benefits to being a corporate VTuber. And that is why most indies would jump at the chance to join one. Now, while being guaranteed a certain level of success does sound easy, that's not to say anyone in these companies are just coasting by. Having spoken to people who work within VTuber groups, I can tell you for certain there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. But do corporate VTubers actually have to be good to really succeed? Well, let me ask you this. Do you think a terrible streamer could still gain success if they were part of Hololive? It might depend on what you classify as a success, but here's the big thing. We will never really know for sure. After all, why would a company like Hololive, who has countless of applications, pick somebody even subpar? They are clearly going to pick talented, hardworking, driven, experienced, and amazing content creators. Theoretically, yes, if Hololive adopted a random streamer with no talent, that person will be bigger than if they were just a random indie, though I doubt they would get anywhere near the numbers of the other talents. But again, that will never happen, because why would they when they can take genuinely amazing people instead? At the end of the day, they are a business, investing in talented people, and while it might be a bit cheeky to drop this bombshell right at the end of the video, this subject is really fucking stupid for that reason. Nobody in Hololive is a bad streamer, and I can't ever see them taking on anyone anything less than amazing. Some might not be to your personal taste, but that doesn't make them bad. There are a lot of big streamers, both in and out of corporations, that I personally dislike. But I can still respect that they are good at what they do. Oh, and just to put people's minds at ease with the thumbnail, I love Callie, she's great. I only really chose to use her in the thumbnail since she's talked about the subject in the past. So with that all said, thank you for watching, be sure to check out my last video and subscribe to the next. I'm not exactly sure when I'll start streaming myself since I have to prioritize my other VTuber life for the time being, but thank you again, and I hope to see you next time.